Hello, you need to have your book of exponent rules out. We are going to finish the last section, um, which deal with the multiplication rules. So if you would grab that, might pause the video if you don't have it out. But let me do a quick recap. We first started out with some definitions, and we're going to come back to this word base today. The 4 being raised to the 3 power is the base. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today. The other day we looked at zero and negative exponents, and when we worked with negative exponents, we talked about crossing the line and changing the sign of the exponent. So these two end up switching spots, and then anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. So those were the two key concepts there. So if you would turn the page, this is the last page in your book, you might go ahead and start by writing at the top. Remember, you may only use these exponent rules with like bases. So at the top, write down, remember, you may only use these exponent rules with like bases. So I said a second ago we'll come back to like bases, and so I will talk about that more here in just a second. Okay, so we are going to start out with, there's going to be kind of 3 items I'm going to write here. I'm going to leave a little bit of space over to the side because I'm going to add something there in just a minute. So I want you to write down power to a power. Power to a power. Okay. And then leave a section that you can write an example. And then I'm going to write the word multiply.
I need a custodian to the office, please.
Multiply. And then leave a section, we'll write an example, and then at the very bottom I'm going to write the word add. Okay, so we have power to a power, multiply, and then add. Okay, so going back to power to a power, I'm going to write the following example. So I'd like you to open up your parentheses and write x to the 2nd power, and then close your parentheses, and then raise that to the 3rd power. So it should look like this, x to the 2nd to the 3rd. Now, when I go through and raise an item to a power, this is called power to a power because the power of 2 is being raised to another power of 3. So when I go through that, and underneath here, well, let me back up. When I go through that, when I raise a power to a power, I actually can multiply those powers together. So when I take away my parentheses, a power to a power can be multiplied. And so I end up getting 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? So when I raise a power to a power, I get 6. Now, the reason I get 6, and I might put this in a different color here, the reason I get 6, I don't know if that pink will show up very well, is because what I'm really doing is I'm doing x to the 2nd times x to the 2nd times x to the 2nd. Okay, and I'm going to address that in just a minute. So power to a power, you are going to multiply your exponents and get 6. Now, when I give you the next example under the word multiply, x squared times x to the 3rd. Now notice this is not power to a power because I'm not raising a power to a power. I am multiplying, which is what this dot means right here. And when I multiply powers together, I can add those exponents. So 2 plus 3, and then I know that 2 plus 3 is 5, so that really is x to the 5th. Now, let me go back to the power to a power. I said a second ago that x to the 2nd to the 3rd power is really x squared times x squared times x squared, because there's 3 of them. And then on my next example, I said when I am multiplying exponents with the same base together, I can add. So this problem here, I expanded out, looks just like this one. So if I do 2 plus 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is my 6. Okay, so a couple of things I want to add to here is when I am raising a power to a power, notice I am multiplying. And when I am multiplying like bases here, I am simply adding. And so really another way that we could possibly think about this is I'm going to write over to the side here. I'm going to write a P next to power to a power, an M next to the word multiply, and an A next to add. And I'm just going to draw arrows. So a technique to help you remember this is PMA. Power to a power, you multiply, and when you multiply, you really add. So when I raise a power to a power, I get multiplication, which is 6. When I multiply like bases, I'm really adding, and I get 5 here. So we're going to work on these 2 rules over the next 2 days. Okay, so today we're only going to work on actually this middle rule, and then we're going to work on the other one together and just bring it all together in one review.